The inhabitants of a large city face an alien invasion, where the aliens react to the slightest sound. The only chance to save themselves is to get to the harbor, from where evacuation boats are coming. The story, based on the previous movie, is set in a busy New York City. Not far from the metropolis, a girl named Sam, a cancer patient, is spending her last days in a hospice with her cat named Frodo. At meetings for the terminally ill, she reads her poems, and afterwards Nurse Ruben suggests that she go to the city with his company to see a play and eat pizza. After changing her clothes, the girl takes her cat and her favorite player with her, and then gets on a bus that takes her to busy New York. In the theater, a family sits in front of Sam, and one of the children, fascinated by her cat, turns to her. The play, however, does not bring Sam joy. After picking up Frodo, she goes outside, where she immerses herself in the noise of the city. After buying a chocolate bar at the store, she returns, but Ruben gives her the unpleasant news that she must drive back to the hospice. Annoyed at the cancellation of her pizza dinner, Sam boards the bus, which soon touches down. However, the bus stops quickly, and the passengers start looking at something. Sam also goes to the window and sees meteors falling in the sky. One of them crashes nearby, creating clouds of dust and shattering the windows with a shockwave. The stunned girl goes outside to see what is happening, but in the thick dust, only confused people can be seen, being dragged away into the unknown by something. Sam hides behind a car, watching in horror as non-human creatures appear in the fog, attacking people. The girl tries to escape, but loses consciousness after the ambulance explodes. Upon regaining consciousness, she sees a man from the theater named Henry, who gestures for her to be quiet. Sam realizes she is in the theater where other survivors have gathered. Everyone remains completely silent. Among them, she notices Ruben, who happily hugs her and returns the cat. Soon they hear the sound of a helicopter announcing, "Hide and remain quiet until you are rescued." After that, a rumbling sound is heard. The terrified cat runs away, and Sam rushes after him. In a foyer full of bodies, she freezes when she hears footsteps and sees someone's silhouette outside the window. Frodo returns to his mistress, but is hit by the bells making the sound. Sam manages to hide with the cat before a terrifying alien, who is blind but sensitive to any noise, bursts into the room. The monster begins rummaging among the bodies and almost finds Ruben, who has also hidden himself. Hearing the roar of engines outside, the monster leaves the building. Through the broken door, a whole group of monsters can be seen carrying on, resembling an angry swarm. Back in cover, Sam washes the dust off her face. Later, she finds a radio operator who records the coordinates of the evacuation points and warns her not to cross the bridges. On the globe, the girl sees markings of the places where the aliens landed. Hearing a loud noise, Sam and the other survivors climb to the roof. The city is on fire, and the Allied Air Force destroys bridges to keep the monsters from getting off the island. However, one of the men becomes hysterical and starts talking loudly. Henry tries to calm him down, but accidentally kills him by banging his head against a wall. Back in the basement, Sam stays with Ruben. Suddenly the lights go out and a loud generator comes on. Ruben turns it off, but the monster, hearing the sound, attacks and kills him in front of Sam. Devastated, the girl comes out of hiding and sees the chaos and destruction around her. Sam enters a store with a broken window and picks up the necessary things: a flashlight, canned food. Having put the booty in a bag, she continues the way along the ruined street, together with the faithful Frodo. Reaching the fountain in the park, the girl, hiding behind the noise of the water, opens a can to feed the cat. There she notices children hiding by the fountain and shares the chocolate with them. Helicopters whiz by in the sky, from which they report that the evacuation of the survivors is taking place in the harbor by boat, since the aliens are unable to swim. After taking the children, Sam heads towards the harbor, while the roar of the engines distracts the monsters. On the way, she is nearly crushed by a fallen balcony, which attracts one of the creatures. After waiting for it to leave, the girl and her children continue on their way. On the way to the harbor, they are joined by other survivors, and there are more and more of them with each step. Leaving the children with the crowd, Sam stubbornly walks in the opposite direction. Her main goal is to enjoy the promised pizza, despite the mortal danger. But the sounds of footsteps and the noise from the carts of many people attract the attention of the monsters. Panic and crush begins in the crowd. Sam falls down, releasing the cat. The cat uses the moment to run away, avoiding the risk of being trampled. Sam also escapes by climbing under a car. She then flees down the chaotic street until she finds shelter in an alley. Meanwhile, Frodo, like a real cat, walks by himself, chasing a mouse. He stops at the entrance to the flooded subway, where Eric appears. The first thing he sees is Frodo's face. The guy follows the cat into the alley where Sam is hiding, and then decides to follow her until it starts to rain. Under the cover of the rain, Sam advises Eric to go to the port where the evacuation is underway. However, the guy, in shock, decides to stay with her and help. They get to her apartment in the dark. Since the girl has lost her keys, she asks Eric to break down the door. He manages to do it on the second attempt, using the rumblings of thunder as a noise disguise. During the conversation, Sam learns that Eric is not just the leader of the circle, but a law student. Eric, in turn, discovers that Sam is a well-known poet whose poems are published. Flipping through her collection, he reads some of them, while the girl, taking advantage of the rain, gives vent to her emotions without fear of being heard. Eric supports her. In the morning, waking up after a nightmare, Sam quietly collects the cat and leaves while Eric is still asleep. She strolls leisurely through the deserted streets, enjoying the rare moments of silence and solitude. While looking at a book at a kiosk, Sam notices Frodo looking at something behind her. Turning around, she sees Eric, who has found her again. In addition to his presence, he brings a notebook belonging to the girl. Sam gets weak, leans on the kiosk, and accidentally drops the books. The people around freeze in fear, expecting that the noise might attract monsters. Deciding not to wait for trouble, Sam and Eric run away. They try to hide in a nearby building, but the revolving door is blocked by a suitcase. Eric manages to push through it, but the suitcase falls through, creating a noise. This attracts the aliens, and people begin to flee. Sam and Eric run around the building, surrounded by the creatures, and only after running outside does Eric distract the monsters by breaking a car window. The alarm that goes off helps to confuse the pursuers. After escaping, the pair make their way down to the subway. With a flashlight, they make their way to the other side, but at the stairs, they spot an alien descending. They have to find a way around through a flooded tunnel. Walking knee-deep in water, they hear the creature rumbling. Eric raises his flashlight and notices a breach in the ceiling from which the alien is peering out. The sound of the water drowns out their footsteps, but brings a new problem. The water is coming in and it's getting deeper. Eric panics and Sam has to calm him down, risking attracting monsters. As they begin to swim, the alien chases them by crawling on the ceiling. However, the water level rises and the monster drowns before it can reach them. Sam and Eric grab the rocks near the exit and make their way out. They climb out of the breach in the floor, finding themselves inside an old church with a ruined roof. A meteorite probably left the hole they climbed out of. Sam gets worse without the right drug. Finding out what drug she needs, Eric leaves her to rest while he heads out into the sunset-lit, deserted streets covered in signs of recent chaos. Finding a pharmacy, he cautiously searches for the medication, checking against the note left by Sam. The search is interrupted by the sudden appearance of Frodo's cat, which suddenly scares Eric. After getting everything they need, the boy returns to the church, but on the way, the cat gets distracted and runs away to the construction site. Eric has to crawl after him. At the construction site, he notices the alien eggs and the monsters themselves living there. The boy, trying not to make noise, climbs the beam after the cat, while the aliens begin to devour their own supplies hidden in the eggs. After taking Frodo, Eric returns to Sam. At church, he helps a girl by putting a healing patch on her. She feels better and shares a story. Her father was a jazz pianist, and after his performances, they always ate pizza at a pizzeria. That's where she dreams of going before she dies, to feel the joy of the old days again. In the morning, Sam and Eric continue their journey through the deserted streets. When they reach a pizzeria, Sam discovers that the building has burned down in the recent events. To support her, Eric takes her to the jazz club where her father once played. While she waits for him to return, the girl plugs a player into the speakers and gingerly touches the piano keys, afraid to make a sound lest she attract the aliens. Eric returns with pizza from the surviving establishment, and the two of them enjoy their meal. The cat, who got nothing, is forced to stand up for justice. Out on the balcony, Sam spots a ship with evacuated people on the river. The monsters chase them along the shore, but hesitate to enter the water. Returning Eric his jacket, Sam hints that it's time to leave. Sam and Eric, having taken Frodo, carefully make their way to the embankment, avoiding an encounter with the aliens. Eric has another panic attack, but Sam calms him down by handing over his furry friend. The girl then carries out her plan. She runs away, making as much noise as possible by banging on cars. The alarms attract the attention of the monsters, which allows Eric and the cat to get to the river. On the pier, Eric accidentally touches a can, which attracts several monsters, but at the last moment he manages to jump into the water. Henry, one of the evacuees, helps him aboard the ship. After calming down, Eric discovers a note from Sam in his pocket, in which she thanks him for his help and asks him to take care of Frodo. Sam returns to the ruins of the pizzeria, where she finds an old photograph of her father. She walks out into the empty street and turns on the music from the player. The sound blasts around the neighborhood, at which point an alien appears behind her back. That's where the story ends.